Welcome to this webinar, 6 Case Studies in Technology-Driven Compliance Management for Life Sciences Companies. I'm Parth Chanda, founder and CEO of Lextegrity. I'm a former in-house life sciences compliance lawyer, having spent 6 years in-house at Pfizer, where I had various roles overseeing compliance processes and controls around U.S. anti-kickback and ex-U.S. bribery and corruption risks prior to founding Lextegrity in 2017. At Lextegrity, we've endeavored to help companies like those listed here use technology to achieve the key goal of every compliance officer, to ensure their compliance program is effective. And in today's webinar, I will walk you through 6 separate case studies of life sciences companies that have deployed Lextegrity's technology to do just that. Before we dive into these cases, I did want to spend a few minutes providing some context on Lextegrity and our work with life sciences companies. Over the last 6 years, Lextegrity has implemented technology from companies with less than 100 employees to those with 500,000, headquartered globally. Our expert team has provided thousands of hours of support to companies to solution for their challenges. Our expertise uniquely is founded on the fact that our team consists of former in-house and external life sciences compliance and audit experts from leading companies. So we have a unique perspective on sustainable best practices. We also have a proven track record with enforcement agencies around the world, having been selected in 12 matters in 7 countries, including helping resolve 2 DOJ SEC monitorships and supporting an ongoing one, securing a DOJ declination, and even being cited by the SEC. The quote from the CCO of Alexion on the right captures our customer sentiment well, in terms of our being the future of compliance by providing unique, integrated technology solutions. At Lextegrity, our mission is pretty simple. We focus on key spend and counterparty risks companies face every day, from corruption, healthcare fraud, sanctions, conflicts of interest, embezzlement, and channel stuffing. And we believe that effective compliance requires preventative controls and mechanisms for immediate detection. Our Integrity Gateway platform of 3 products falls on each of these 2 sides of the equation. We provide workflow tools for compliance approvals of things like HCP engagement needs assessments, grant sponsorships and donations, and third-party due diligence. We provide a compliance monitoring product that risk scores 100% of your employee expenses, third-party vendor spend, including with HCPs and HCOs, and customer and distributor transactions in real time to detect issues immediately before they become systemic. These provide 2 walls of defense against your risks, and we provide these 3 tools in a modular way so that you can start anywhere it makes sense and grow over time. The head of the DOJ's criminal division recently spelled out their expectations. Has your employee been informed, trained, and empowered to choose right over wrong? Or if he makes the wrong choice, do you have a system that immediately detects, remediates, disciplines, and then adapts to ensure that others do not follow suit? This statement encapsulates our mission perfectly: to prevent and immediately detect non-compliance using technology. In talking to hundreds of companies, we've summarized here some of the common gaps companies face in having an optimal level of prevention and detection against these myriad risks. On the prevention side, companies often have compliance processes and data silos where various compliance workflows are managed in different systems. That leads to siloed risk information where you cannot see all the requests related to one employee, one HCP, or one HCO in one place. Risk analyses in workflow tools are often basic. For example, you cannot manage local limits and aggregate spend caps by HCP or HCO prior to contracting. And legacy processes often cannot manage complex risk-based workflows fine-tuned to those spend limits, or manage things like cross-border approvals. For example, having an HCP in a US ad board from the UK be approved by UK medical or legal. Compliance tools are often standalone and disconnected from key business systems, such as the contracting or procure-to-pay process. So an employee can get something approved, such as an HCP service fee, and then pay a different amount in the downstream system to a different vendor. Finally, first-generation tools often have clunky user experiences for your business. They're not mobile-friendly, are not in multiple languages, and do not allow for the business to easily submit and update their requests in real time. Ultimately, this is a drag on your business people that also incentivizes them to skip your processes or look for workarounds. On the detection side, monitoring is often reactive, sporadic, and sample-based, arising out of audits, investigations, and other ad hoc reviews. These efforts are usually not real time, so they fall well short of immediate detection and might only uncover issues that have been going on for months or years. Budget and personnel constraints quickly become obstacles to many internal analytics efforts. Building an internal team or bringing on a Big Four requires large budgets and a wide range of expertise, which becomes a barrier to launching more advanced analytics. And even if you launch, maintaining that level of team and commitment is a challenge. Once you start, companies often run into complexities in acquiring, validating, mapping, and curating the data needed for advanced analytics. Finally, analytics can be quite varied. Often approaches look at key risk indicators unidimensionally without aggregating them, or data visualizations show data along limited dimensions, like the amount of spend or frequency, without a risk lens, leading to data visualizations that don't offer as much insight into risk as you expect. And the lack of targeted insight leads to a huge number of false positives and wasted time. These gaps can ultimately mean more risks pass through your prevention and detection controls and maybe are never uncovered or are uncovered years after the fact, only when a whistleblower comes forward. All of these gaps mean non-compliance can make its way into your organization more easily and be harder to detect for too long at significant cost to your organization. And ultimately, this non-compliance can lead to higher investigation costs, potential fines, reputational damage, and interruption to your business. We address these gaps with an established product and approach. Our workflow products integrate all your workflows in one tool to provide unified risk views of data for specific employees or counterparties. So you can manage your HCP engagements as well as your grants and donations and third-party onboarding all in one platform. With that unified data, we can support limits and aggregate spend caps, showing you how much a specific counterparty, such as an HCP or HCO, has received, and then handle complex approval logic based on that data. Our customers have integrated their approval data with downstream contracting and procurement systems for added controls. For example, we have connected approvals to the procurement process to enable monitoring around if payments exceed approvals or went to a different vendor, HCP, or HCO. Finally, our workflow tools are highly user-friendly across devices and languages and include multiple features to make the workflow easier for the business to use. On the detection side, our monitoring tool is real-time, scoring 100% of transactions daily. Because it is out of the box and not custom built, we can deploy our tool for less than the cost of the equivalent internal FTE to build and maintain such a tool. Our data experts lead the data acquisition, validation, and mapping work so that you can overcome some of the challenges around data quality that often stymie organizations. Finally, our aggregation and analytics approach itself is differentiated to help drive the most targeted risk outputs in the market today, to make your monitoring effort as efficient and effective as possible. So I hope the past few minutes have provided you with some background on Lextegrity and our approach to risk management for life sciences companies enabled by technology. With that, I would love to turn now to the 6 specific case studies. The first case study concerns the global biopharmaceutical company Alexion, from whose CCO we shared the quote earlier. We began work with Alexion in 2017 when they were in the midst of a DOJ and SEC investigation into allegations of corruption outside of the US. They were looking to do a wholesale revamp of their compliance program, from policies and training to new SOPs and technology to support those new policies and procedures. And they wanted to then monitor their activities on the back end using more sophisticated data analytics. They had already spent considerable time and money implementing a legacy HCP engagements platform from a transparency provider that never got off the ground because it was clunky and did not manage their workflow needs adequately. So they decided to revamp their program with us. The first step we took was to implement our approvals and disclosures tool to provide an easy-to-use platform for managing all of their compliance needs assessments, from HCP and patients engagements, as speakers and consultants, for example, to donations and sponsorships, and even practice-related items outside of the US. We addressed their need for speed by providing template questionnaire content for all of these workflows based on best practices, and providing the tool in multiple languages across devices. We automated their HCP FMV profiling and also provided real-time sanctions and debarment screening. By doing this, we removed manual steps that needed to be done outside of our system in a separate FMV profiling tool or in a separate screening tool, making their compliance process more efficient and taking less human time. In addition, having the FMV data and screening data in one tool, fully auditable and usable seamlessly within approval requests, made their process both more efficient and more effective for both the business and for compliance. Finally, Alexion wanted to make their workflows highly risk sensitive to make sure compliance resources were only getting involved in the highest risk scenarios. Our approvals and disclosure platform was able to support such complex approval logic fit for a global company like Alexion. For example, we enabled support for cross-border approvals so that an ad board with HCPs from multiple countries could have in-market medical or compliance review their HCPs against local restrictions. However, our workflow was smart enough not to waste the time of those in-market resources to review the other HCPs not from their country. Finally, we also implemented aggregate spend caps directly within the workflow. They use workflow data in our system to flag HCPs or HCOs where proposed spend exceeded a certain cap. And all of this was done with integrations with their HCP master data, in this case, Viva. Their new needs assessment approval system rolled out alongside updated policies and procedures for users, which improved the success of their compliance program rollout, giving employees guidance alongside a user-friendly tool that operationalized that guidance. Alexion then implemented our compliance monitoring tool to risk score 100% of their expense data from Concur, vendor payment data from SAP, and aggregate spend data from MediSpend. Prior to this, Alexion, like many other companies, relied on sample-based auditing and monitoring, and they looked for a more holistic and real-time solution to detecting risks and anomalies in their payments to HCPs, HCOs, and other third parties. Alexion evaluated Lextegrity against other providers, including multiple accounting firms, and chose us for a mix of our unique analytics approach and engine, as well as the fact that they could manage their analytics through a no-code interface, with no intervention from Lextegrity and no specialized skill. The no-code setting area and analytics builder helped Alexion create dozens of custom risk analytics that focus on their highest risk areas of concern, and has allowed them to manage those settings and adjust them many times over the years as their risks evolve. And this has enabled their monitoring program to be highly sustainable, as changes in personnel do not impact their ability to keep using the analytics tool, since it requires no specialized analytics or engineering expertise. Like every other area of a compliance program, compliance analytics should be continually improved, and our no-code analytics builder allowed Alexion to do just that. The dashboards and visualizations in the monitoring tool has also aided their compliance and investigations teams by providing data-driven risk assessments and data on specific HCPs, HCOs, vendors, and employees quickly when complaints come up. Previously, they might have had to rely on finance or IT to pull raw data with a delay. Now, auditors and investigators could access risk score data in real time, helping to shorten the time to close audits and investigations, a big win for the compliance team. Finally, a very unique part of our partnership with Alexion included connecting their needs assessment data from Lextegrity's approvals and disclosures tool with our monitoring application, so that they could validate payees and payment amounts much tighter than before. For example, if an HCP or HCO was approved to be paid 20,000 euro, our monitoring tool would flag if payments exceeded 20,000 or if they were paid to a different HCP or HCO. The connection between proposed amounts in needs assessments and actual payments is a gap for many organizations, and our tool can manage this risk effortlessly. And most notably, our ongoing partnership with Alexion helped them receive positive outcomes with the DOJ and SEC. Our technology contributed to a DOJ declination and a modest fine from the SEC, where the SEC specifically cited their use of Lextegrity's technology as a significant remediation factor. Overall, working with us, Alexion was able to establish a world-class compliance program backed by advanced technology that also met the high standards set by the DOJ and SEC. I want to move on to our next case study involving Fresenius Medical Care, the Germany-based provider of kidney care solutions. Fresenius, like Alexion, was in the throes of a DOJ and SEC enforcement action. In their final year of their DOJ and SEC monitorship, They sought to improve their global third-party compliance monitoring program, which historically relied on sample-based audits and monitoring. After comparing Lextegrity with other life sciences data analytics providers, Fresenius chose us to manage third-party compliance monitoring using data analytics across multiple SAP instances in over 100 countries. For those countries, our software risk scores 100% of vendor procurement spend, as well as customer, distributor, and reseller order-to-cash transactions. Like with Alexion, the Lextegrity tool gave Fresenius access to customizable advanced analytics tailored for their business's risk factors through a no-code analytics builder interface. We applied our solution across various SAP instances to automate the data ingestion, analysis, and scoring process, and provided Fresenius with a workflow to manage the follow-up and remediation of flagged transactions. The improvements from implementing Lextegrity's software not only helped Fresenius leapfrog their legacy monitoring approaches, but it was also a factor in their successfully completing their DOJ and SEC monitorship, having satisfied the monitor and the government's requirements for enhanced third-party transaction monitoring. For case study 3, we'll talk about how we introduced our approvals and disclosure software at LifeScan, a worldwide medical device company. When spinning off from Johnson & Johnson, LifeScan asked us to set up a global needs assessment system for their dealings with HCPs and HCOs, as well as third parties, ranging from consulting agreements to grants and donations. They needed this quickly to replace the technology they used at Johnson & Johnson. We provided them with a multi-language platform in less than 90 days. They were able to leverage our pre-built content and smart workflows that automated assessments and showed spending by country. It also integrated screening searches to speed things up like we did with Alexion, along with detailed reports through dashboards that were not easily accessible before to their compliance function. The global healthcare compliance officer went so far as to say she found it hard to imagine having had to weather the move to remote work with COVID had LifeScan not made the investments into Lextegrity prior to the pandemic. LifeScan is one of several companies we've helped establish best practices backed by technology on extremely short timelines due to a spin-off, an IPO, or upcoming commercialization and product approval. Our expert team pre-built content and workflows and our years of experience with life sciences best practices means that we ease the implementation process and reduce the amount of effort the internal compliance team needs to expend to stand up a best-in-class technology-driven compliance program. Our experience working with internal IT teams also expedites this process and removes a significant amount of the burden from the internal compliance team. Our fourth case study features a global biopharmaceutical company with fewer than 1,000 employees currently and less than 500 when we started working with them. They were struggling to manage 11 different manual paper-based approval processes worldwide. The compliance function wanted to capture unique information about different types of engagements, but using a paper-based process meant they needed to include 11 separate forms. Lextegrity's platform helps simplify these workflows into a far smaller number of workflows using our sophisticated branching questionnaire logic, which still allowed them to collect detailed information needed for compliance purposes, but to do so in a much more user-friendly way for the business. The tool covered all of the company's needs, including HCP engagements, patient engagements, third-party dealings, market research, and more, offering real-time data access that wasn't possible before, including aggregate spend information and real-time FMB information. This company is another example of the multiple earlier and mid-stage life sciences companies Lextegrity has supported, who want a powerful solution used by the largest companies in the world, but at a reasonable price point for an earlier stage company. Our fifth case study involves another global biopharmaceutical company with over 5,000 employees globally, looking to enhance their monitoring of spend around HCPs, HCOs, employees, and third parties using data captured in multiple systems like Oracle, Alanda, and Concur. With our compliance monitoring tool, they were able to automatically ingest data from these systems and then output real-time risk score transactions, which led to reduced compliance risks as well as a better understanding of their business risks. They credited our data analytics and visualizations with giving the compliance function a more compelling story to tell and show business leaders about the risks in the business driven by data analytics, rather than the traditional compliance program metrics or live monitoring stats. The fact that they were also able to operate real-time data analytics meant that they were able to monitor execution risk in novel initiatives the business proposed, which made them more likely to approve those initiatives with the right guardrails, knowing that monitoring would kick in automatically and immediately, which is a real game changer for many compliance organizations who struggle to connect their front-end guidance with manageable back-end monitoring. Lastly, our final case study highlights our work with Cordis, a global medical device manufacturer. They came to us after their spinoff from Cardinal Health, like LifeScan, looking to transition to a next-generation tool from a legacy transparency provider's needs assessment tool. Lextegrity implemented an off-the-shelf approvals tool for their HCP and HCO approval processes, allowing them to consolidate regional questionnaires into one workflow in 11 languages, ultimately leading to a much improved user experience and quicker compliance process without compromising on managing the complexities of their global engagements. Our approvals and disclosures tool is phase one of an implementation with Cordis that extends to third-party management and compliance monitoring, so more case studies to come for Cordis in the future. I hope these case studies have piqued your interest in considering Lextegrity further to advance your compliance program needs, from approval workflows, third-party management, through to compliance monitoring using data analytics. You should have received these slides, and each of the case study slides also links to a more detailed case study. They can also be found in the resources section of our website, along with a number of other white papers, expert guides, webinars, and resources. We hope this webinar has made clear our expertise at Lextegrity in implementing world-class solutions for life sciences companies of all sizes around the world. Our technology is fit for purpose for life sciences companies and backed by years of best practices knowledge, pre-built content and analytics, and no-code interfaces to build custom analytics. Our team would love to chat further with you. Please reach out to us at any time, and thank you again for joining me today.